Well, hello everyone, and welcome to The Evolution. My name's da46bdb3029f.
And I'm Diane Serta. Good morning.
How's everybody doing out there in internet land?
Today is May 2nd. May 2nd already. It's May.
I know, May 2nd, 2021.
That is awesome.
Sunday. So we are back for our weekly podcast, and I want to say hello to everyone. Hope that you're doing well. And our topic this week is going to be, it's interesting. We've been talking about it all week, and we finally settled on the topic of self-observation. And so we've had a lot of experience with practicing that skill. And it's been fun. So we're going to talk about self-observation and what it is, why do it in the first place, what it does for us, for me, for everyone who does it, how to do it, and basically how we've benefited. And so the show, The Evolution, is really about we're all like at this. We're either moving forward or we're going backwards. It's kind of like the comfort zone. We're inside this comfort zone. We're at the leading edge. So we're either living in comfort or we're expanding. And so that's why we decided to put this together, because for how long? I mean, I got introduced to personal growth in my 20s, my late 20s, and I've been involved since then for, my gosh, 35 years.
Yeah, same for me. I'm in 20s.
35 years. Oh my gosh. Well, it's interesting because personal growth, people want to do it. They want to grow, of course, but then when they find out what they have to do to grow, then sometimes it's like, oh, well, maybe I don't want to do that. So when we got introduced to this whole concept of self-observation, the whole purpose of it is to grow, not just personally, but professionally, and better relationships, make more money, feel better about myself, not get caught up in the drama of life and everybody else's drama, and be healthier and things like that. And the whole thing, it's like when I got introduced to it, it wasn't really like an introduction to it. It was, so I was assisting in this organization, and I decided to do one of their 6-week workshops, and one of the homework things, assignments, was to do a process of sitting, 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 kind of like meditation, but it's not meditation. No. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. So this whole particular workshop, this 6-week workshop, was about getting things completed in our lives so that we're not like dragging around all the baggage. You know how it is. We've got projects going on here, there, and everywhere, and then we hold them all in our brain, and we're walking around, and we've got old relationships, and
we've got goals that we've never achieved, or projects that are incomplete.
And the cabinet needs to be cleaned out, and the pipe is leaking in the basement, and
on and on and on.
I had an argument with my friend, and we haven't talked for months, and all these incompletes out there. So it was about getting complete. And so one of this particular exercise called sitting was included. It was to do it every single day for 20 minutes. 20 minutes, right. And the instructions basically were to simply notice the conversation, not to do anything with it,
in our head,
not to try to relax, not to let go of tension, not to do anything but to notice the conversation.
The conversation in our head.
In our head, right.
Like people call it thinking, but there's that constant conversation going on.
Mm-hmm. And what I remember about it was like, so to notice the conversation and just to notice the conversation. That was it. And not do anything with it, not to judge it, not to think about it more. So interesting. That was a thought. I'm hungry right now. I'm supposed to be sitting here.
Or I wonder what I'm going to make for dinner.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting thought. And I'm gonna have to talk to my boss because last week I forgot to do something, and then that was a thought, and then let it go, and then we'll get to the how part of it in a minute. But what is it and why do it in the first place? I mean, it's a practice, right?
Yes.
So from what you remember, and why do it in the first place?
Well, it's a way to remember that I'm in charge, right? It's a way to stop being a victim to my external circumstances and the things going on around me. So really noticing that there is this constant conversation going on in my head, and ultimately I'm in charge of those thoughts, and I'm in charge. They come through, and then I'm in charge of really what I do with it.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's really just about noticing.
Yeah, I see quotes all the time, on social media. It's like, it's not the circumstances in our life, it's the way that we think about the circumstances that makes all the difference. And it's really like that. So this is a very practical way to exercise that, because the biggest problem that I remember about doing this, and I really haven't sat down and done this for a while, and it was like remembering to remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To self-observe is the hardest thing.
Yeah, because we just get caught up.
Yeah, we're like doing our daily life, and things are going here, there, we're driving there, we're doing this, we're planning for that, and then it's like, self-remembering? That's not on the list to even think about. But so while we were doing this, the things that I remember was that I stopped falling victim to other people's actions, their behaviors, their statements, their choices, and even mine. Mm-hmm. So it was like I became a much stronger minded and abled person to make decisions, to follow through with things that I said that I was going to do. So when I began to notice the conversation in my head, it was like I saw very quickly that I was basically sabotaging myself. Mm-hmm. More than anything else. I was setting myself up to feel bad, to feel guilty, to feel insecure, to feel,
like I didn't measure up to other people.
Right.
Yeah, and it was, a lot of it was about other people and what they wanted and what they had expectations for me in my life and where I wanted to go, versus me taking charge and taking a stand about what I want my life to be about, mm-hmm. and the things that I want to do. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was really about beginning to notice all of those thoughts in my head that were leading me down a path that was not really what I wanted my life to be about. Mm-hmm. And the result was, unhappiness and insecurity and all of that.
Mm-hmm. I remember sitting in meetings, so we would go to a meeting every week. And part of the meeting, we do this in Life Plan. This is part of the whole thing, is to get people to, we do it online now, right? So we get people to share about their week and how it went and what they did and working on their goals and their interactions with people and at work and whatever, just to share a little bit about how their week went. And so I'm sitting there in this meeting and I'm talking, and I'm just talking, like sharing what my what was happening this week. And then our teacher would every so often say, now remember, you just said but. The key word is and, because when you say but, you're negating everything that you just said. And so, you've heard about that before, right? So I didn't even notice that was a thing. It's like I wasn't even noticing that I was saying but, what's a good example? So I was driving to work and having these thoughts about my boss and the job that I was going to do that day, but I realized that I really didn't like my job. So when you replace the word but for and, it becomes a whole different thing. And I know that sounds simple, but then it means a lot. So, I'm driving down the street, headed to work, and I realize that I don't like my job. So it's like an inclusive thing. So I'm having these conversations about my life, my situations, and then I'm like saying words, using words in my head that are tripping me up, you know. So anyway, so what does it do for us?
Well, it's exactly what you just talked about. It really helps us to notice not only our external language in the way that we're speaking, also our internal language and the way that we're talking to ourselves, because that's everything.
Yeah, like the I and the you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we talk, if you listen to people, it's easier to listen to people, right? Because when you listen to other people, you can hear the words that are coming out of their mouth. When we're talking, we're having 40,000 conversations in our head, and then we're trying to talk, and it becomes this confusing thing to pay attention, or difficult thing to pay attention. When we talk about ourselves, the appropriate way to talk about ourselves is to use the word I, right? I drive down the street. I rode my bicycle. I go to the store. I
created a mess.
I did all this,
Got
right?
myself into this situation.
Exactly, right? And then when you listen to people, they say you drive down the street. You know, when you're driving down the street, you have all these challenges, and you get struck by traffic and all these other things. And I mean, who are they talking about? Are they talking about their experience, or are they talking about somebody else? Because it gets really confusing. So what does it do to me? It gets me to look at taking responsibility and for owning my experience, and it helps me to not be judgmental about myself and other people. Because if I'm just noticing, if I'm just observing, an observer just observes, right? It's not about having judgmental thoughts about other people, because of course the ego inside wants to have judgmental thoughts, because if we have judgmental thoughts about other people, then we're better than they are. Right? Which is a bunch of happy horse shit. It doesn't really do us any good or anybody else any good. We're the one that walks around having judgments. So how many of you out there have judgments about yourself all the time?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty normal thing.
It's normal, and the interesting thing, one of the things that I got out of it is I can still have these thoughts about myself and not do anything with it. Like, looking in the mirror and say, oh, Dominic, you're getting old. Okay, so what?
Right.
It's just the way that it is. We don't have to, I don't have to, get down on myself or beat myself up or anything like that. It's just like, it is what it is, and it is what it isn't, whatever.
Yeah, the self-observation really helped me to come from acceptance. Exactly what you're just saying. Just accepting things the way they are, not making it a good thing or a bad thing. And that is in relation to myself and in relation to a lot of other people. I've managed a lot of people and coached a lot of people over the years, and I think one of my strongest assets is being accepting of people the way they are and the way they're not. And it really, I developed that out of this self-observation. It's helped me a lot over the years.
And, we're going to talk about how we benefited in just a minute. But first of all, we want to talk about how do we do it?
Yeah.
And what is the physical, you go to the gym and you work out, right? That is something that you do to build the muscles in the body or to keep the body healthy. Well, how do you keep the mind strong and healthy? It's like doing these little exercises about self-observation. So anyway, so
the way that we did it to begin with was sit in a chair in an open position. So that means no legs crossed, no arms crossed. So your feet flat on the floor, hands on the lap. And, in meditation, normally you close your eyes. Well, in this exercise, your eyes are open and you look about 10 feet in front of you, maybe 5 feet in front of you, at a spot on the floor.
Yeah, just find a spot on the floor. I remember the whole angle of the nose thing? So you kind of look down at the angle of your nose down to a spot on the floor. And you kind of stay fixated on that spot.
Right. Set a timer for 20 minutes and then hit the start button, find your spot, and then just
20
sit
minutes.
there.
It seems like it's a long time.
Well, if somebody wants to start, you could start with 10 minutes. I don't know that there's a magical thing about 20 minutes. I remember that's what I did, was 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that, but I mean, sitting there for 20 minutes seems like, now I remember it wasn't that long, but it used to go by really fast. And I also remember there were times where, like, when is that damn timer going to go off?
Well, I remember sometimes the more that I was doing the exercise and staying in the moment and really self-observing, the longer it went. And there were other times where I think I would go off on a tangent in my mind, thinking about something, talking to myself, and the 20 minutes would go by in a flash because I wasn't really there.
That's the whole point. I mean, the point was to stay focused on the dot and just notice the thoughts. Just notice them. Oh, that was a thought. Interesting. And then another thought would come, and oh, that's another thought. That's interesting.
You just let it go.
And let it go. But then, you know how it is. Like, we get sucked into the thought. Like Diane was saying, it's like, oh my gosh, that was, and that bitch, and she said this, and oh, yeah, and then we go down that, we just hang on to that, and we drag it out, and then all of a sudden, I would remember, oh yeah, that's right, I'm just supposed to be noticing my thoughts. I'm not supposed to be doing anything with them.
And it's great. It translates all over the place. I was telling Dominic yesterday, I went to do my workout yesterday, and the last exercise that we did was on a bike, and it was 20 minutes of pushing hard on the bike and then 10 minutes of rest, 20 minutes of work and then 20 minutes of rest, and this went on for, I don't know,
this is funny,
25 minutes or something.
It's really fun.
And I had this intense thing happen with my work on Friday, and I'm on the bike yesterday, and I was hanging in there really, really good and pushing it, and then all of a sudden I look down at the timer, and I'm supposed to be working really hard, and I'm resting. So my rest went longer than 10 minutes because I noticed I'm in my head talking to myself about this thing that happened with work, and it was funny. I mean, I laughed at myself. I caught myself off guard. And that's it, though. That's like the work to me and how it translates into everyday life.
It's the same thing happened to me. I remember, all the time it happens. So it's funny because I'm sitting there counting reps while I'm doing my exercise, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, or I count. I'm on the floor doing a stretching exercise or whatever, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a thought kicks in. And then about however many seconds later, maybe it's a minute later, I'm like, what was I on? So self-observation is a fun little game that you can play with yourself, and the benefits are really amazing because, like, first of all, let's talk about communication. So there's communication with other people, and there's communication with ourselves, right? So when I began to do this whole self-observation thing, it's like I used to catch myself thinking about the not just the thoughts, but the words that were coming out of my mouth, like I and you and but and saying things like I can't do that, and just help me with some other examples, like
I'm going to try to do it.
Yeah, the word try is another one of those juicy words where it's like, hey, I'm going to try to do it. Well, there's no such thing as try. There's only do, right? Remember Yoda?
Just doing it or not doing it.
Yeah. And so, I'm going to try to do it, but it sounds better, Anyway, so little things like that, and we're going to be doing that in Life Plan. We've got our first live coming up next weekend, and also we're going to be doing I think we're going to be shifting some things around, which is great. But this is going to be one of the exercises that we're going to do, and we're going to see, how people respond to it and get some. Get their comments and stuff. But when we're communicating with other people, we begin to listen to the words that are coming out of their mouth, and they say, like I've been in management before. Diane's she's the manager now, so when we listen to the conversation, that the words that are coming out of our employee's mouth, they say something like, "Yeah, I'm going to try to do it." All of a sudden, we're like, the alarm is going off. Boop, boop, boop. Like they just said, they're going to try to do it. And we know what that means, which is that they're probably not going to do it.
Yeah, very likely.
So it's about then working with that person to, instead of letting them slide with the word try, like I'll try to do it, that we get them to commit that they'll do it no matter what.
Yeah, come up with strategies to support them in increasing their certainty that that they can, in fact, do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same thing with ourselves.
Exactly. And, in Life Plan, it comes up all the time where people set a goal because they get inspired and their tail's wagging and they want to reach a goal that is something that maybe it's a goal with their weight, or maybe it's a goal with a career, maybe it's a goal with money, whatever it may be. And then they get into the thick of it, and then it's like, oh, this is difficult. I'll try to do it tomorrow. I'll try to do better. Better is another one of those words.
Or I'll do more.
Yeah. So, when we're, one of the benefits is that if you're managing people, or let's say you're in a relationship and your sweetheart says, yeah, honey, I'll try to do it better. You know what that really means. Like, they're gonna try. Well, what does that mean?
And a self-observation is really starting with, observing ourselves. It's so much easier to see it in other people and to hear it in other people. And so I think when I first started to practice this, that's what I noticed the most, was I could hear it in other people. So it's not about going around and making other people wrong for the language they're using.
Or pointing it out to them.
Catching them, or anything like that. It's just about noticing. And then really the only person I can take any charge of is myself. The only thing I can control is myself, my own thoughts, my own words, my own actions. And so then out of observing from other people, I can start to observe from myself as well.
Mm-hmm. And when we hear other people use certain words that we know that have tripped us up, we can, redirect. And that's one of the things that we do as managers, is to redirect the people that we're managing so that they can be clearer and create better results. And when they create better results, then they feel better. They make more money and all that other stuff. So
absolutely. Another benefit, of self-observation is to become lighter. I definitely have benefited from this. I feel like Dominic's always been kind of playful since I've known him. And I'm sure you've benefited in that area as well. But, having more humor and not taking things so seriously is definitely one of the big side benefits of self-observation, because when I observe myself and I realize that I do these same things, and then I observe other people doing the same things, it's like we're all the same. We're all doing our best, and it's not that serious. Most things are not life and death that occur around us, and so to be light and have fun, one of Dominic's favorite things to say is lighten up.
Lighten up, that's right. Nothing is that serious. And when for people, and I can say this about myself, before I started practicing self-observation, I was a very intense guy. I would pick people's words to death, and then I would pin the tail on the donkey, but you said that, and this is what caused a lot of upset and arguments in my life with people. And when I began to observe, it's like I realized that I was doing all that in my own head,
right? And
I didn't even know it. And so then, of course, I wanted to point out to everybody else, because I knew everything, and I'm the military guy, and I know everything like that. So anyway, it really supported me in not taking life and other people so seriously. It was about just having a chuckle about it, excuse me, and realizing, it's not that difficult. It's about having that buffer zone where we can give and take and take things lightly, and then get to the root of the matter,
And know that deep down, everybody wants the same stuff. Everybody wants to be loved. They want to love. They want to feel loved. Everyone's a little kid inside.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's, insecure and vulnerable, and self-observation really helps. It's helped me to really connect with that on a deep level.
Mm-hmm.
And we are all the same, and so just have fun with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last thing I want to say about it is that it really has helped me with negotiations, and it's not just negotiations in business dealings, because we've had a lot of that. When I'm listening to what other people are saying, one of the things that I notice is that a lot of times the other person or people are not really paying attention. They're just talking about what they want, what they're going to give, and all that other stuff. And so when I notice the words that they're using and where they're coming from, and that they haven't really practiced this practice of self-observation, it helps me to understand not only what I want out of the deal. It could be with friends of mine, it could be with loved ones like that. It gives me the opportunity to have a clearer understanding of what's going on in the bigger picture, so that I can better interact and create a better deal, not just for myself, but for the whole thing. So I always talk about win, 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 because that's what I want. And what I noticed, we just recently sold our former house, and a lot of the people that were coming in, it was all about, they wanted the deal, they wanted to get the best deal, and they wanted to chip me down, and they wanted all this other stuff. And I'm like, guys, I would say to them, and I say this to everybody, I just want everybody to win. I want you to walk away feeling like you got a good deal, and I also want to walk away feeling like I got a good deal. So I would listen to their words, and I would say, okay, well, and then I would, redirect the conversation to bring it back to that we all want to win.
And it was great because we went through quite a few people until we found the person who wanted to play that game with us, and at that level. And we got a great deal. He got a great deal. And
we made more money than even the asking price. Yeah. I mean, that was not the asking price, but the average selling price of a home, in that area and all that stuff. We got a better price for it. So, and they were very happy because, we worked it all out.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's great. Yeah, and so benefits all around from doing this. It's a fun game. And a lifelong game, really, once you get into it. And the way that we started was that sitting practice. And so if anybody has any questions about that, or we've got, friends in the network here who participated in that process with us. If you're listening and you've got any stories to share about your experience with it, that's great. If you've got questions or need some support, you feel like you want to take it on, let us know. Of course, life plan's coming up.
We dare you.
Yeah.
I dare you to take a week, right, and then do this exercise, and then report back and see what happens. See what comes up, and tell us what your experience was about. So anyway, we're going to be doing this as part of one of the exercises in Life Plan, and so we'll leave the links for Life Plan if anybody's interested in joining us next weekend. That would be fabulous. And what else?
I think that's it. It's an exciting topic. Take it on, and have a wonderful week, everyone. Remember to
stay inspired
and have fun.
Have fun. Make sure you have fun, because life is too short. Anyway, thanks, guys, for listening. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.